Hi, Christine with Lone Oak Farm. And I know it's been a little while since I've done a tour, but May was kind of a crazy month. So we had so much rain, and it seemed like as soon as we got out to the garden, it would just start raining, or it rained 3 or 4 inches, and it was just not much you could do. I did lay a few bricks and move a few things around, and we finished some of the arbors, but May was really, really wet. But it is now June, and it is absolutely beautiful, and it's first thing in the morning. And I did a video yesterday, and I got in last night to try to edit it, and I realized how I had gone a little later in the day, and it was so windy. So here I am again. We're going to take a tour before the wind picks up. Let's go. And we will start right here. I think I always start right here. This long brick pathway was my inspiration. I just knew I wanted it. But you will notice there's one thing new at the very beginning of the garden, and it's this little fountain. Later in the summer, we will take everything apart and mortar the bricks in and make it permanent. But for now, they're just set there. But it's not raining right now because it's in the shade, but it's a solar fountain. And it's so pretty during the day. I will insert a little spigot of a video that shows it when it's in full sun and when it's running. Actually, also, it had during the daytime it has a fountain, and then in the evening, and at dark, it has lights that are on it, and it's really pretty. We have really enjoyed it. I dumped the water out and completely cleaned it out and cleaned the filter out and everything. And I'm so glad I did. I didn't realize how much it had gotten clogged up. So yeah, this is what it looks like when it's running properly. Okay, let's get started with the garden tour. You'll notice the hollyhocks first thing because they are massive and they're going to be beautiful. And I have a soft spot for any plant that reseeds other places. And generally I've just kind of let them go, mostly. And they're out of hand. So I have vowed that this year I will cut them out before they go to seed and spread seed all over the garden this year. And I will only have them one specific place. I have them right here, and I had planned on leaving them, but they've got rust really bad already. So I think I'm going to move them someplace they get a little bit more air circulation. Maybe out front of the yard where the wagon is. The foxgloves are beautiful. Foxgloves are a biennial, which means the first year they only have foliage, just a little clump of green, and it's really pretty, but they're spectacular the second year, obviously. They're almost to the end of their bloom cycle. You can tell they've only got blooms at the very, very tip top. All up and down these lines, they start blooming at the very bottom, and so they move up as it ages. And they bloom for a long period. They will make seed this year, but I don't know how well they reseed. So I'm going to start some in the greenhouse and tuck them in here just to make sure that I get some plants, some blooms next year. And the Achillea, it's a fuchsia pink. It's so pretty. The bee balm, I told myself I would move the bee balm out of the middle of the border because it's so big, but I couldn't help it. See, it's just getting ready to bloom. So pretty. And at the ends of all the trellises in the garden, I try to poke in some annuals to bring in pollinators. And this is Cosmos. It's Purity. And they said it was a really good cut flower, and I've never grown Cosmos, honestly. And they say it might have a little problem with reseeding, so we'll see how it goes. When we planted the tomatoes, we put a big scoop of compost at the bottom, and you can really tell the difference. we have not had very much heat. Like I said, it's been just raining like crazy. So the peppers are there, but they're not growing spectacularly yet. But I can see them just really shooting up now that we've got some sunshine. And there's some squash and zucchini out there too. And the cantaloupe, the poppies are massive. I planted the seeds out, and then it rained like 3 or 4 inches the same day. So they're kind of all over the place, and it's kind of funny. We're just gonna see where it goes. But it's a breadseed hobby. And this is the update on my potatoes. And you can see they're poking up. They took forever. And I thought maybe they weren't gonna come up and it was not gonna be a success. But then I read that I made one mistake. When you do this method, you should put them in the ground like 1 inch, and that way they can get good ground contact. But they're all coming up now, little by little, and I don't think there's only been a couple spots that they didn't come up. So yeah, hopefully it's going to be a success. I know I don't want to dig anymore, but the very last row, my cucumbers, and you can see on the posts there's peas on each one of the posts. I only had 4 or 5 of a certain kind of seed, and I couldn't get them. They were already out at Baker Creek Seed Company. So I went ahead and planted them, and I'm not going to harvest any of the peas. I'm just going to let it grow and use them for seeds this fall, and then maybe do the same thing so I can get up a good store of seeds myself. The other side of the garden is just as pretty. The green beans I planted, and then it rained for the next 2 straight weeks after that. So I didn't get a really full stand of them. And when I went through to poke new seeds in the open spots, so I should have a full row in a week. But when I did that, I saw they had just rotted in the ground. So I guess I feel like I should be lucky that I got what I did. The spinach is just about done. I have picked and picked and picked spinach, and there's, let's see, 26 1-pound packages in the freezer. So that is a good feeling. And it just needs to be pulled and thrown to the chickens now. It's at the end of its life cycle. And the broccoli, I have not had. I should have put compost when we planted them and in the ground, and I didn't. And so the heads are not very big, and I'm kind of just letting them go to seed. It seems like they get a little bit big, and just when you get ready to pick it, they just bolt. I'm not having good luck with them. I've actually read that they do better in fall, so I will try them again in fall and see if I do better. But sweet potatoes, see, they haven't really kicked in yet either, because we just haven't had the heat. And these pink flowers have got to go. I didn't mean to bring any of them, and it was one little start that accidentally tagged along. So that's on my list of things to do, is to pull them all up, because I have a rose right there, and it's getting overtaken by this pink flower. And I don't normally leave the hose out, and I'll tell you why the hose is out. You see these daisies? I grew these from seed, and they were supposed to be 9 inches tall. And I thought that'd be perfect around all the roses. They would shade the ground for the roses and keep the moisture in. And I just thought it would be really, really pretty. And they are not 9 inches tall. And actually, you can just barely see the roses at this point, which is not good for them at all. So I've actually, on this side, I dug 3 from this side, and now you can see the rose bush just barely. And I actually dug up 3 from that side. And you can see how beautiful they're going to be. They really will be, but they just can't stay here. But I'll show you where. Oh, look at the blueberries. I'll show you where I planted them. Down here. The lavender is so pretty. The little sticks here and there is ones I transplanted. I just want to make sure I remember to water them and don't miss them. But I transplanted the daisies down here, and they'd be really pretty. I think I need to cut them off by half today. I just left the hose out to remind myself to water them really good. But they'll be prettier down here. I just don't know where the rest of them are going to go, actually. The blueberry bushes are taking off this year. I have had kind of a time. I've ordered them from many different places, and I finally picked some up at a place called, I ordered them from True Vine Ranch. They're up by Kansas City, somewhere. They're up northeast part of the state. And they came, and I knew they were different, and they have done amazing. I would totally recommend that company to buy from. My bachelor buttons are here, and I adore bachelor buttons. But they're a little full. I don't know. I have too many, I'm sure, but aren't they beautiful? The roses are all blooming. Also, bless their little hearts there. Look at the little red and white one. And the herb garden. And I will walk you through the herb garden. This is my tarragon, and I was so surprised. It overwintered, and it's a very tender perennial. We got a really, really cold spell, so I didn't expect to see it again. And I have taken some off to dry already, and the purple basil is starting to peak up. The oregano, I took a cutting off it already, and I started from seed and planted basil here. And I had basil here last year, so if you'll notice, I have basil coming up everywhere. So I think I'll just pull up the big ones and give them away, because I have plenty of basil coming up right here. Oh, and weeds. I'll have to thin them when I weed it today. And the thyme has already gone to seed. But this is St. John's wort. I started it last year, and it stayed a really compact little, 8 inches. And I thought, oh, this is going to be really pretty right there. But it is massive this year. And I read a little bit about cutting the flowers off and putting it in oil and using it for different things. And I'm going to give that a shot. I've actually cut a few off. So I'm going to have to keep up on it every single morning. After the dew dries, I'll come out here and do the cuttings. And my horseradish. And I just planted this. It is catmint. And the chives are done and needing deadheaded. The parsley is from last year, and I left it. I knew it would go to seed, but I thought it was so pretty. Chocolate mint. And I know mint can be invasive, and you can already see the runners coming off. So I'm not sure if it's going to stay in this tub or if I'm going to try to find some place in the yard that I don't mind it taking over. But the chamomile, I have I got 5 trays of it inside, and I quit cutting it to make sure that I would have some to go to seed. I want to make sure it goes to seed and reseeds right here. But yesterday when I was out here, I will insert this little snippet of video. I had a hummingbird out here when I was out here yesterday. It was really pretty. Oh, do you see that? It's a hummingbird. That is sage. It's beautiful. Comfrey and rue and echinacea and feverfew and pennyroyals right here. I'm gonna walk over here really quick. This is a different type of oregano. I need to take some off it. But this is one of my favorites. And it's another, of course, it's another one of these daisies that were supposed to be 9 inches tall. Needs to be moved away from this one also. It's Jean Le Jolet. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but it's beautiful. The blackberries is one of the projects that I did get done. We put cardboard down, and this is not bought mulch, it's mulch that we got at the tree dump. And that's exclusively what I used up until this year. This is the first year I've ever bought store-bought mulch. But it's a little coarse. But finally, there's just a few more places there that we didn't get, that we ran out of mulch for. And that is a project for today, is to go get some more and put it in that spot. And actually I need to put some more mulch down around the asparagus too. But this row of raspberries got weeded, and this one got half weeded. I got halfway done yesterday, and I will finish it today. And we have been picking strawberries. I have a great big bowl in the fridge as we speak, and they're delicious. And I have been working on filling in these little beds here. And this one I just got done last night, and I adore it. I love the way it looks. And the zinnias, the California giant zinnias, are coming up spectacularly. So in about a month it should be really, really pretty right here. And the pumpkins. There is nothing planted in this garden, this spot right here, and I haven't really decided what it's going to be. I don't have any inspiration at this moment. But I do have a few black currants right here that are starting to turn. Need to keep an eye on them. And another stand of poppies back here. And the dahlias are starting to get some size on them, and I'm getting the most blooms up at the front here. This first one right there just got done blooming, and it was kind of a red color. It was really pretty, but a lot of them, it seems, are yellow on this first batch. I know there's 3 or 4 that I've seen that are the same yellow color. I did them by packets, and I was going to keep track of which is which, but to me at this point it just doesn't matter. But all of the first batch are a single, and then the other one should be, there's like tall ones and cactus and doubles, and so I just won't even know until everything blooms. But the roses that we planted at the end of every pathway are getting some size on them already. And my pollinator garden looks really pretty. I have the mulch laying there to mulch it once I get it completely weeded. And I started to weed it, obviously. It doesn't look terrible, but except for that one spot, there was a rogue bachelor button right there, and it got pulled out. But I need to take the time to weed it so that I can get all the mulch down. But the roses here have been so pretty. This one on the end was just loaded. Actually, you can see all the blooms are gone. I need to deadhead it. That's a project for today, is to get everything deadheaded. But this one here is completely done, and I will insert a little picture. I know I have a picture of this one when it was in full bloom because it was the first to bloom. But the shade garden I have worked on, and it looks really, really good. I bought the red impatiens thinking it would be really pretty later in the year. We'll need some color back here, but I don't like it with the foxgloves. But the foxgloves will be gone before too long. But right now they kind of clash. I hadn't thought of that. But we got several new coleuses, and they're so pretty this year. I guess I hadn't really looked at coleuses too much, but I picked up several different varieties that are just so pretty. And see, I overwintered cuttings of the ones that I had last year, which is why I have so many this year. And I'm going to continue to do that. But here's the other stand of foxgloves. See, these right here are just now starting to bloom. There's a few of them, so. And the astable, I have wanted astable for so many years, and I tried and tried, and I'm finally going to have astable blooms this year. See, all my spinach is starting to bolt. And these are vegetable spaghetti squash. Just planted a few. And this rose bush here is going to be enormous. It's so pretty. Everything, I was so worried when everything died back, but this one came back even better. So, and this little corner, there's the foxgloves. That's the shade garden back there. It's the other side of the shed, but my delphinium are blooming for the first time. I've tried for several years to get some blooming. I just wanted them so badly, and I'm going to have to get some bamboo stakes to put beside them. I thought putting them here they wouldn't get as much wind and they would stand up, but I think they still need a stake beside them. But this rosebush is amazing, and I took a cutting of it, and the cutting, I got it to root, and it's right here. So can you imagine what this is going to look like when both sides of this arbor are just filled with roses? The poppies have been just beautiful. Again, they're a little big, and I kind of let them get a little further out into the garden than I had planned, so they may get moved someplace else also, but that's okay. Gardening is not something you ever finish. You know, you don't just get it done and quit. There's little things like that that just have to be moved and replaced and don't do well in certain places. But I did get this garden weeded and mulched one day. I haven't got any further on getting the patio here done, and that's because we've been trying really hard to get, there was a tree here, and if I had planned in advance, I may have just went ahead and made the fire pit right there. But I didn't think it would be that hard to get the stump burned out. And so the fire ring will actually go right here. And so this has to be burned out so that I can get it leveled. And we're almost there. We've been trying really hard to get that done. We will see. But we're back to the front. And these beds I've been filling in little by little. And I actually sprayed the grass so that I could start putting in the pathways along here. and up to the house. You can tell where it's a little bit yellow, but there'll be a pathway that goes up to the house and then over. So, and you can see where it's going to be. I had a jacket on, but I came outside and it was, and that's my jacket hanging over there. I don't need it. It's pretty nice out. There's still stuff in the greenhouse. A few things. I told myself I'd have them all planted by beginning of June, but it has not happened. And the lupines were absolutely amazing. And the second plant is just now fading. The last of the blooms are down. But you see, I've got all these seed pods, and I'm kind of leaving them, but I need to get them picked before they all go to seed. I mean, they all drop, but I'm going to let them see if I can get a few seeds. But both of these were purple, and I'd like to try to get some different colors. There'll be a chili on this side. Oh, and the foxglove's here. The painted daisies are just about done, but this is a perennial border. The daisies are starting to take over. The bee balm is going to be next. There's always something new. And those should be a burgundy sunflower. We'll see what happens. I know that I forgot to say it today. I know I said it yesterday when I did this video the first time. The snapdragons that are everywhere, just tucked in here and there. I put them in last year, and they overwintered, and they have all flowered, and they're so pretty. But I think I'm going to have to cut the blooms off. They're going to be done blooming before the year is out, so I'm kind of hoping I can snip them off and have them branch out and bloom again. And this knockout rose is going to be in full bloom in a week. And this one over here is just beautiful. So I'm so glad you stopped by to take a tour through the garden with me. If you did, like and subscribe. Thanks.